Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Medico's Guide. I'm Dr. Ida Khan and today we will talk about layers of skin. So there are three primary layers of skin, the epidermis, the dermis and the hypodermis, which is also known as subcutaneous tissue. Now first let's talk about epidermis. This is the outermost layer of the skin and it is comprised mainly of the keratinocytes, which are the principal cells of the epidermis. And it produces the protein keratin, which provides strength and waterproofing. Now, epidermis is subdivided into several sublayers, and these sublayers are stratum corneum, which is the outermost layer, stratum lucidum, that is only present in the thick skin like palms and soles. Then we have the stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum basale. These are the deepest layers. And there's a cool mnemonic to remember all of these sublayers. That is, come, let's get sunburnt. So C for corneum, L for lucidum, G for granulosum, S for spinosum, and B for basale. Now let's talk about each sublayer in a bit detail. Now our first sublayer is the stratum corneum. This is the outermost layer of the epidermis and it is comprised of dead and flattened keratinocytes. It provides a waterproof barrier that protects against dehydration and external pathogens. And it also undergoes a process named as desquamation, where it constantly sheds and replaces itself. Now we have stratum lucidum. It is only present in the thick skin such as palms and soles. It is composed of translucent flattened keratinocytes and it provides additional protection and thickness to the areas that are subject to friction and pressure. Now next is stratum granulosum. It contains granular keratinocytes undergoing apoptosis, that is cell death, and it synthesizes lipids and proteins that contribute to skin's barrier function. It helps in the formation of stratum corneum. Now stratum spinosum. It consists of several layers of polygonal keratinocytes connected by desmosomes. It provides strength and support to the epidermis and it contains Langerhans cells which are involved in immune responses and defense against pathogens. Now the last sublayer is the stratum basale or the stratum germinativum. This is the deepest layer of epidermis in direct contact with the dermis. It contains actively dividing keratinocytes that migrate upward to replenish the upper layers. It houses melanocytes, which are responsible for producing melanin. It's a pigment that determines the skin color and it provides protection against the UV radiations. It also contains the Merkel cells. These are involved in the sensation of touch. Now, our next layer of skin is dermis. It lies beneath the epidermis and contains various structures such as blood vessels, nerves, hair follicles, sweat glands, and sebaceous glands. It is composed of connective tissue containing collagen and elastin fibers, providing strength, elasticity, and support to the skin. Now let's discuss about the sublayers of the dermis. It is divided into two layers, the papillary dermis, which is a superficial layer, and the reticular dermis, which is a deeper layer. Now let's discuss them one by one. Now the first sublayer is papillary dermis. This is a superficial layer of the dermis and it consists of loose connective tissue with thin collagen and elastin fibers. It contains dermal papillae that interlock with the epidermis, forming the fingerprints and enhancing grip. It houses the touch receptors, which are known as Meissner's corpuscles. Now let's talk about the other layer, that is the reticular dermis. This is the deeper and thicker layer of the dermis. Now, unlike papillary dermis, the reticular dermis is composed of dense, irregular connective tissue with thicker collagen and elastin fibers. It provides strength, elasticity, and a structural support to the skin, and it contains blood vessels, nerves, hair follicles, sweat glands, and sebaceous glands. Now let's discuss about the third layer of the skin, which is hypodermis, or which is also known as subcutaneous tissue. It is located beneath the dermis and it is composed of adipose tissue, which are the fat cells, and connective tissue. Now it serves as a cushion, insulation, and energy reserve. It provides a connection between skin and underlying muscles and bones. Now let's discuss in detail about the structures which are present in the hypodermis. First is adipose tissue. It is predominantly composed of adipocytes, which are the fat cells that store energy in the form of triglycerides. It provides insulation, helping to regulate body temperature by preventing heat loss. It acts as a cushion and protecting underlying organs and structures from mechanical damage. It contributes to the contour and the shape of the body. Now, connective tissue. It contains collagen and elastin fibers that provide structural support and flexibility. It forms a connection between dermis and underlying muscles and bones, stabilizing the skin, and it facilitates movement and mobility. Now, blood vessels. They supply nutrients and oxygen to the skin and underlying tissues. They help regulate body temperature by dilating and constricting blood vessels in response to environmental conditions. They facilitate the removal of metabolic waste products from the tissues. Now, nerves contain sensory nerves that transmit information about touch, pressure, pain, temperature sensations from the skin to the CNS, and they play a crucial role in the perception of tactile stimuli and maintaining sensory awareness. Now, last, hair follicles and sweat glands. They extend into hypodermis from the dermis, and hair follicles produce hair shafts, which emerge through the skin surface. Sweat glands secrete sweat, helping to regulate the body temperature and excrete waste products. Now let's summarize the whole video. The epidermis is composed of stratum corneum, stratum lucidum that is in the thick skin, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum basale. The stratum basale is responsible for cell renewal and it contains melanocytes, which produce melanin, the pigment which is responsible for skin color and protection against UV radiations. Now, the dermis consists of papillary dermis and reticular dermis. The stratum corneum acts as a protective barrier, while the stratum basale is responsible for cell renewal and melanin production. The dermis contains essential structures like blood vessels, nerves, and glands, providing support and nourishment to the skin. Both epidermis and dermis work together to maintain skin integrity and function, protecting the body from external threats and regulating temperature and sensation. Now, epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis they work together to provide protection, sensation, regulation of body temperature, and synthesis of vitamin D, among other functions essential for maintaining overall health and well-being. So that's all from today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.